Hey guys, Mike here from Extra Gym, and today we're going to look at macronutrients. We're going to look at counting macros, what they actually are, and does it apply to you. So when we hear the term macros, what we're actually referring to is the protein, fats, and carbs. And what it is we're trying to count the total calories you get from each of those foods, and it should give you the total daily calories that you're allowed or that you require, depending on your goals. So you're probably thinking, why bother to do this? It sounds quite complicated. It's going to be hard work, and it sounds like you're going to have to be really strict. Well, actually, it's quite the opposite. And what it allows you to do is kind of factor in maybe some kind of junk foods or those treats that you can't seem to shake. So, if you want to have that chocolate bar or you want to maybe have pizza at the weekend or whatever it is, as long as you try and make it fit into your macros, you're still going to get good results. So if we look at how to calculate this in men to start off with, so your BMR is 10 times your weight in your kilograms. So how much you weigh in kg multiplied by 10, and then add on 6.25 multiplied by the height you are in centimeters. So if we have a look at my stats, so I weigh roughly 95 kilos, so multiply that by 10, and that gives you your 950, which you can see down the bottom. Then you add the 6.25 multiplied by my height in centimeters, 191, and it gives you the total at the bottom. So that 2,143 calories is the total number of calories I would need if I was just to stay in bed all day and not really do anything else. Now, women are slightly different in this area. So for females, it's much the same at the start of the equation. So it's still 10 times your weight in kilograms, then 6.25 times your height in centimeters, and you add those two together to get a total. Now from that figure, you're going to minus 5 times your age, and then you're going to subtract a further 161 to give you your total figure. So from there, we're going to look at then actually achieving your total daily calorie intake. So you're going to take the figure you got from your BMR and you're going to multiply it by one of these options. So if you sit at a desk all day and you don't do any exercise, then you're going to multiply your BMR by 1.2. And that will give you your total calories needed for the day. If you like the exercise, so say you go for a walk maybe a couple of times a week, and you are out and about on your feet, then you're going to take that BMR figure we worked out before and we're going to multiply it by 1.375. Now, if you are training, let's say you're exercising a couple of times in the gym, you're going to take that figure and you're going to multiply it by 1.55. And then number 4, the last option, if you're very active, if you're working hard in the gym a couple of days a week, plus you're maybe out walking, you've maybe got a pretty intensive job as well, then you're going to take your BMR and you're going to multiply it by 1.725. So this is the bit where quite a lot of people will get lost on. So they've worked out how many calories they need per day, but how do they work out then the breakdown of their protein, fats, and carbs? So it very much depends on your end goal. So let's say your end goal is weight loss or fat loss. What you really want to be doing is getting yourself into a calorie deficit. But what we don't want happening is we don't want to lose weight by dropping muscle or that body tissue. We want to be dropping fat, so shredding fat. So the macronutrients have a different amount of energy released per gram. So if we take protein first, protein then, it contains 4 kilocalories or 4 calories of energy released for every gram. So let's say you eat something that's 20 grams of protein, that would give you 80 calories worth of energy. Now carbs is much the same. It is again 4 calories released for every gram consumed. But carbs is a little bit different because carbs is the body's go-to energy source. So we'll get onto that in a little bit. But if we then look at fats lastly, it contains 9 calories per every gram. So if we looked at something that had say 10 grams of fat, it would really be releasing 90 calories worth of energy. So that's why we kind of need to be careful about fats, or why fats get such a bad rep, I should really say. Fats are actually really, really good for us, but the problem is because they release so much energy, It's either use it or lose it, and if we aren't using the energy released, it means we're storing it as fat in the body. So hopefully we've all been able to work out our total daily calorie intake goals. Now from there, we're able to apply our macros. So a system that I quite like using is a 35-35-30 split. Now what this means is 35% of your calories come from protein sources, 35% come from fat sources, and 30% come from carbohydrate sources. Now it's just a very loose rule of thumb. It doesn't apply to everybody, and it's very much kind of goal dependent. You can go very into depth on this subject, but this is just a kind of brief overview for the general. So if we look at someone that needs 2,000 calories per day, this is just a pure example. So if we look 2,000 calories per day, 35% of that should be coming from protein sources. So if we take 35% of 2,000, and it gives us a total of 700 calories. So that's how many calories we want coming from our protein sources. Now, if we think back to what we were talking about earlier in the video, how many calories per gram do we get from our protein? So it's 4 calories are produced from every gram of protein source eaten. So if you want to get the total number of grams of protein that you need per day, all we do is divide that 700 by 4, and it gives us 175 in this case, but it's going to be different for everybody depending on their total calorie goal. Now, same for fats, 35% for your fats. Again, it's going to give us this figure of 700 if your total daily calorie intake is 2,000. But from the fats, you want to divide by 9, and it will give you obviously then a much lower figure in grams of fat. So 80 grams of fat is the equivalent to 700 calories, whereas 175 grams of protein is equal to 700 calories. So you can still get the same amount of calories, but by eating much less food from fat sources. Okay, then lastly, if we look at our carbs, so 30% of carbs, I like to keep carbs a little bit lower in these sort of equations, simply because carbs are our fastest energy source, and it's the body's go-to energy source. It's always looking for that quick, fast, speedy glycogen source, which is our carbohydrates. So that's what we want to keep a little bit lower and force the body into using kind of what it already has stored to burn through energy. Okay, so with your carbs, 30% of your 2,000 will give you the 600 calories. Again, it produces 4 calories per gram, so divide it by 4 and it will give you 150. So these are our total grams needed for a 2,000 calorie person. Now, as I say guys, everybody's going to be slightly different on these. So say your calories are 1,500 needed for the day, then your macros obviously are going to be a little bit different. So hopefully you have taken away the kind of calculations that you need to work out your own kind of individualized macros. Now, let's say you wanted to lose weight. So what we want to do is put ourselves into a calorie deficit. So if we look at someone that maybe is trying to lose weight, then so the generalized rule is that we minus 500 calories from your total calorie intake. So let's say you've worked out that you need 2,000 calories a day, depending on your activity levels and everything, all the other factors in your life, but you still want to lose weight. So you take that 2,000, you minus 500, and that's going to give you 1,500 calories. So it's still the same rules apply then once you have that figure. So once you get 1,500, 35% of that should come from your protein source. So just the figures are slightly different. So it's the 525, you still divide it by 4 to get your grams, which is about 131. Again, with the fats, you want 35% of it to come from fat sources. So again, it's 525 calories, but we're dividing by 9 this time to get our grams, which is 58 roughly. And then 30% should come from your carbs, which is 450 calories. Again, we divide it by 4 this time, and it gives us 112. And that would be our macro breakdown for someone trying to lose weight that needs a daily intake of 2,000. So if they generally in everyday life, just to stay the same weight, needed 2,000 calories. If they want to lose weight, they're going to minus 500 calories. That's a safe kind of healthy way to lose the weight. And you just apply the same rules for your macros then. So 35% of 1,500 calories comes from protein, 35% comes from fat and 30% comes from carbs. So hopefully this video has helped you out, guys. I know there is much more detail that we can go into on this. It is just a very kind of simplistic breakdown of those macros, so hopefully you have a little bit of a better understanding. If you want to go into a bit more detail on this, or you want kind of personalized plans sent out to yourselves, if you visit our website, which is www.extrogym.com, and give us a shout, just fire us a message, and we can link up with you and get something sorted.